we are now live, and I'm already enjoying myself so much. What a great way to start. Hello, everyone. Let's kick off our heists panel. The whole reason that we are here is because I read Emma's book, absolutely loved it, and wanted a heist panel. So, yay! And now after reading Tiger Heart, I can say what a fantastic group I've got here. Just yay! Anyway, Emma, EC Scullion, introduce yourself and I'll stop fangirling.
Oh. Okay, what a nice introduction. I'm EC Scullion. I am the author of 2 books. The first is Intruders, which Sam enjoyed so much. The follow-up is called Evaders. I don't
Love that one as
copy.
well.
Thank you. And I'm currently writing, it's a planned trilogy, and I'm currently writing the 3rd book, which is notionally entitled Deceivers, but that might change. So that's me.
We did have a conversation about you calling it, was it Invaders? Because everyone kept getting the titles mixed up.
Everyone kept getting the titles wrong, but it's a bit too close. Yeah.
It is a bit too close. Yeah. Heide and Iain, have either of you got a copy of Tiger Heart with you to show off?
Do you know, it was just here a minute ago. I have no idea where it's gone, I have to say.
It's okay, I've got it on my phone because obviously I've read it and yay. Right, Heidi, tell us a bit about you first, and then we'll go to Iain, and I'll find my Kindle app on my phone.
Hi everyone, I'm Heide Goody. I've been co-writing with Iain for 10 years. I do not have a copy of the book with me, but yes, I hope somebody can show it to you because it's always nice to see things.
It's definitely on my phone, but where it's hiding from me, I don't know.
Shall we just graphically describe the cover then? And it's the 4th book in a crime series set in Skegness, and it's the one featuring the bank robbery, hence us being here today. I think the 5th and the 6th, the 5th one came out earlier this year, and the 6th one's coming out in October, isn't it, Heidi?
Yes. You were going to describe the cover, Iain.
Oh, blimey, Tiger Heart, orange and yellow. There's a police car and Skegness clock tower and paper fluttering in the air, somehow giving a sense of the drama and excitement that comes with the bank heist in Britain's best seaside town.
I thought it was money.
Finally got it.
I thought it was money flying everywhere, but maybe it's paper.
I can't remember if that one's got birds on it or not. I'm not saying I don't remember our own book covers, but yeah.
Birds, money, a car, police car, flashing lights, clock tower.
Iain scores 6 points. You remember?
Right. Why do we love heists? Why were you drawn to heists and writing one? Obviously, both of yours contain heists, Emma, and Heidi and Iain, just Tiger Heart. I still need to go and read the rest though, because I have not laughed so hard I couldn't even tell you how long. Absolutely loved it. As I said, my husband made me close the door because I was so loud laughing. Had to sit somewhere else. So I've driven everybody mad reading it, but I don't care. It was so good. But Emma, why heists? What drew you to writing 1, 2?
It was really well, I should say my books aren't very funny, so if anyone's looking for comedy, don't bother. Read Heide and Iain's books instead. It was really my situation. So I've just come back to the UK. I've just moved back to the UK. I've got empty bookshelves, as you can see, but I've just spent literally the last 10 years living overseas because myself and my husband, we both work for the Foreign Office. So in 2016, we were posted to a country called Uruguay in South America. If you don't know where that is, it's right next to Argentina. It's quite a small country. It's right on the coast. And so, yeah, we got posted to this country. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't really speak a lot of Spanish. And we got put in some accommodation that was just the most amazing place. It was this kind of villa on a golf course. It was an 18-hole golf course, absolutely vast, and between the holes there were sort of built houses, and yeah, it was really weird because there was like an upstairs and a downstairs, and every night I would lock this door, sort of on a recommendation, I would lock this door that basically sealed off the upstairs from the downstairs of the house. And it was always kind of a weird feeling for me, sort of locking this door. And I was always thinking, God, what would it be like if somebody broke in here, and how would they break in, and what would they want? And so that kind of got my mind thinking. And it was before I'd written a few other novels before that, but I'd never really written a thriller. And I really wanted to write a thriller. And you know, the heist sort of subgenre was the last thing I would ever have chosen, because I'm just not that clever. And so
really
it
are.
kind of crept up on me, really. And I went running occasionally round this golf course, because it was all behind sort of security fencing. And so, yeah, my mind was just sort of ticking away. And I was like, well, how would someone get in here if they wanted to break into the house? And it just started from there, really. And it became this kind of, yeah, plotting monster, really. And so that was kind of where it came from. And so I started writing, and then, yeah, I just had to kind of come up with all these different ideas that you do when you have a heist novel. It's quite a sort of specific subgenre, isn't it? So that was, yeah, kind of where it started.
So Heide and Iain, where did the idea for Tiger Heart come from? Did one of you have the idea for a heist, or how does it work? You coming up with the idea for a novel together?
Our ideas come from all over the place, literally all over the place. We've written books based on dreams. We've written books because it's like, oh, we must write a book that's a bit like that other one that we really love. Iain, can you recollect? I can remember pieces of Tiger Heart.
Yeah, I think because the way we work, we write books together. Obviously, if you're working in a team, you're very much having to be aware of what the other person's doing. So one of the things that we do when we write books is we create what Heide refers as a sandbox, an area in which we can play. And I think, particularly with this novel, it says something about heists generally, is that in the first 3 books we wrote in this series, the Sam Applewhite books about a security consultant who gets involved in crimes, the sandbox is effectively Skegness and the characters within it. And of course, with a heist, this one was set in a bank, and so the sandbox becomes the bank. And I think one of the things that, it's something I wanted to do, I remember, because I think there's something fascinating about heists and bank robbery related novels and films, because it feeds into that concept that you're limited in space. You're limited in time as well. They tend to take place over shorter periods of time. You don't have a heist novel that takes place over 2 years, particularly. So usually this is a 24 hours or, a 2-day thing. So everything is compacted, and that then pushes up the pressure. Now, it's interesting what Emma says about, not being funny, because actually writing thrillers and crime and comedy are very similar, because if you compress things, whether it's people or time or space, you put things under pressure, and that both makes things exciting, but that also what makes things funny. We laugh at things because, I've only got 5 hours to do the ridiculous thing, the time constraint. So I think we gave ourselves this small sandbox to play in. And I think that was both a challenge. It's a plotting challenge, because you can't just bring in random external factors when you want to. But also it does make it a lot more fun. So for instance, with this, Heidi, what's the basic plot of Tiger Heart? It's
an accidental bank robbery, because a farmer goes in to do a pitch for a loan, or that's what he thinks he's doing, but he's laughed out of the thing by the bank manager, and he becomes angry. And he's taken in a machete because the basis for his pitch.
I'm crying, laughing, thinking about this scene. Honest to God.
It sounds contrite. He takes a machete because he wants to demonstrate the center of his cabbage. His amazing cabbage is going to turn his career around, because it's got stripes. It's Tiger Heart. Look at it. So he wants to do the big reveal and cut the cabbage with the machete. And I think you can probably see where this is going. So you go into a bank with a machete. He's got some other things as well that people later mistake for a gun. And so basically he finds himself accidentally, holding up the bank. And he goes with it.
I'm bright red. My eyes are streaming from laughing. Because now you've said it, I can say he literally, he wants to do something kind of magnificent, a bit of showmanship. So he goes in with this cabbage that he's cultivated, and it's got stripes that only he can see, which was even funnier. And then he puts it on the table of the man, Tez, is it, who's asking for, is it Justin?
Justin's the bank manager in the book, yeah.
Justin's the bank manager. So he puts it on the table and then draws this machete and then just whacks it in. And it's the funniest thing because it's so unexpected and it hasn't occurred to him that you don't take a machete into a bank. I mean, the whole thing unravelled. It's so funny, honestly. You can see the effect it's had on me.
Because I think one of the things that also attracted us to bank robberies, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Emma, in terms of the heist within your story, is bank robberies, they're not things that people really get away with. You know, you most of these kind of crimes are doomed to failure because of the nature of the world we live in. And writing books in a world of phones and CCTV and so on, actually creating crime scenarios where you think the criminal might have a chance. You know, I think it's part of the interest that, you know, this is a situation normally where you cannot win.
I'm still just thinking about cabbages. Oh, so funny. It is absolutely genius. Anyone who needs a bit of cheering up, just go and open just the first 3 chapters of this and you'll be hooked, honestly. It's so funny, so funny. We've got lots of hellos from people, and thank you to Kaz for tagging people who've asked to be tagged in it. We've got hellos. Kaz is saying that I'm selling all the books to her already. Yeah, please go buy books. And she said she got the comedy from the reference to Skegness being the best seaside town. So there's a debate going on about Skegness now in the comments. So obviously, Emma, you chose your setting because that's where you were living at the time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And have you visited the settings from the second book?
Yeah, so actually, we only ended up living in Uruguay for a year, and that was because of Brexit, and because we arrived in Uruguay, I think about 2 days before the Brexit vote, and then when that happened, it sort of being working for the Foreign Office, it kind of turned everything on its head, and we were like, oh, okay, we're not in Europe anymore, and so we ended up being moved up to Panama, which is where Evada's the second book is based mainly. And yeah, so I've been really lucky. I just had these, you know, great international settings just kind of plonk themselves into my lap, and so it's given me so much material to work with. So yeah, so basically the second book is it kind of moves the main character from sort of Uruguay and Argentina up to Panama. I don't, without giving away any spoilers, there's sort of lots of different sort of characters in different places around the world, but he ends up in Panama because his father's in Panama, and yeah, he gets to Panama to discover that his father's in a bit of hot water with some like local hoodlums, so he has to do some people some favors in order to help his dad out, and so that involves like another kind of like a mini heist, I suppose. It's not as big as the first one, but I wanted to kind of get that in there, that there's the kind of something you've got to steal or something. I'm not going to spoil the book, but yeah, I really liked that kind of theme, and that's what I'm sort of sticking with for the third book as well. Just this idea of thieves stealing stuff, which is, you know, so far obviously from what I would ever do, and so it's something I really enjoy writing about, especially having a character who is a thief and a pickpocket. It's just really good. Again, something I can't ever imagine myself doing. So it was quite nice. It's kind of a bit of escapism, really, to have those kind of characters who kind of have the courage to do those sorts of things. So that's partly why I enjoy writing it, and the setting as well, which really helps for me.
Yeah, I'm far too clumsy to be a pickpocket and too honest.
I'm too honest. I would never steal anything from anyone. I mean, the idea.
I feel like I'd probably get my hands stuck in somebody's pocket or stuck in somebody's bag, and I am the comedy of errors. That is me.
Yes, that is me as well.
Entirely who I am.
I think that's exactly why it appeals to me. It's just so far away from my own character and my own beliefs and morals. I like having that someone who's got morals who they're a bit dubious, and they're willing to do those sorts of things. There's something really appealing about fiction in that kind of person. So I think that's why I like writing about it.
Heidi, how did you come up with the idea of setting the books in Skegness?
Oh, well, there was Iain and I remember the conversation so vividly. We were driving back from Derby because we'd been to a convention in Derby. And I said to Iain, do you know what I'd really love to do is to emulate some of I call it Florida whack job. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but the works of Carl Hyarson and some of those other Florida authors, Florida crime authors, which they're so hilarious and outlandish and funny. And you know, Florida is the place to set those novels. And Iain said, well, we could do the UK version, and obviously it would be in Skegness because Iain knows Skegness. Iain loves Skegness. I took some convincing, so I had to go and visit Skegness, and you know what? I loved it so much. It's kind of easy to be snooty, but really it's clean, it's prosperous, it's got all of the things that you want at the seaside. It's brilliant. But yes, we decided it's our UK version of Florida because it's a very compact place, kind of in the middle of Lincolnshire, which is a very empty place, and it gets filled with people from all over. So yeah, we like it for that, because I think Florida probably is as outlandish and outrageous because of, you know, that mix of people that get smushed together there.
And Iain, were you happy with the choice of Skegness once you got started?
Oh, I absolutely think so. I think there's also the appeal that, Skegness, like there are some other similar places, whereby it's in a corner of the country and you don't go there unless you literally intend to go there. So it's like it's stuck out on a limb. It's a nowhere place. Actually, I've been to Uruguay, and I wouldn't say they're too dissimilar, actually. In that, you know, why would anyone ever be in Uruguay unless they were, you know,
why would you ever go to Uruguay? Exactly.
It's the most wonderfully slow-natured country I've ever been to. I think Uruguay is fantastic. It's just loads of cows, and so I think it's this place where people wash up disparate characters, people who don't want to be part of regular society. I'm talking about Skegness now, by the way, not Uruguay.
You'd be talking about
That's right. So I think there's a thing there where we can populate it with whoever we want to populate it with, so we can have whatever we want there. And I think there's a thing as well that Skegness, it's not busy, it's not metropolitan, and therefore it's a place where thieves and chancers might just be able to get away with what they want to get away with. You know, so no, I think we've absolutely loved spending time there fictionally. You know, and we might have taken a few liberties as well, perhaps, with the truth. But yeah.
Are there any palm trees in Skegness?
There is now a great. Oh no, this is in Florida. There's now a great big sign they've got, which is "Welcome to Skeg Vegas," not in Nevada. Which, you know, clearly they're trying to, you know, sell Skeg as the Vegas of the east coast of England.
The East Coast. Nice.
Yeah.
You've sold me on going to Skegness. I'm going to go.
It's worth a visit once, definitely. Yeah.
Now, this is such an obvious question, but I am intrigued. I want to know, Heidi and Iain, why you decided to write together and how you met, and Emma, if you would consider writing with somebody else. So start with Emma.
Gosh, would I ever write with anyone else? I don't know. I think I'd give it a go. Yeah. I write at weird times of day. I've got 2 children. I don't have a lot of free time, so I tend to write at like 10 o'clock at night and sort of just before I'm going to bed. So if I could find someone who, you know, I don't really know how it works. Do you you write one bit and then Heidi, you write the other bit, or do you sort of collaborate the whole time? I don't know. I would definitely try it. If I could find someone who was sort of interested in the similar sorts of things that I was interested in. Yeah, I don't see why not.
Heidi?
you want us to dive in? So yes, first of all, you should try it. Where it came about, Iain and I both were members of Birmingham Writers Group for several years. Iain still goes. It's a great writers group. And we had a workshop on collaborative writing, facilitated by one of the members of the group. And so we all pitched in with what we knew about it and thoughts on it. And it's always intrigued me. And so at the end of the workshop, when the facilitator said, "And who would like to do some collaborative writing?" Iain and I were both, "Oh, yes, yes, yes." And still, it took me well over a week. I emailed Iain and said, "Do you want to write something?" Because obviously, Iain is a much better writer than me. I've always believed this. And it's like, oh, he's going to say no, and it's going to be so crushing, and it'd be horrible and embarrassing. But yes, he said yes.
And obviously, I think Heidi's a much better writer than me, and therefore that's part of the magic. I think is if you can find someone who you think does more of the work than you do, which is really useful. And in that sense, we've been very lucky. It's been 10, 11 years now we've been writing together. Sometimes we alternate chapters and stuff and plan for each other. A lot recently, we've kind of taken this sort of sandbox approach where we outline what can happen, and then one of us goes off on one and does something crazy, and the other one then tidies up and tries to make it make sense. So different approaches to writing it, but it's really helpful having someone just not literally sat next to you. You're never writing in the same room, but metaphorically sat next to you, kind of going, "That's good. Yeah, more of that. Do that. Keep doing that." Very helpful. Because writers can be quite lonely creatures.
Definitely. I mean, that's the one thing I find is it's a very solitary thing, isn't it? And you're just going with your own ideas and your own gut instinct, and that's the wonderful thing about having speeches and things tell you that's not quite working or something like that. So I think that's something I would appreciate is having somebody else say, "Oh, why don't you try it like this or do it like this?" Because it's very much it's my own head and it's my own ideas.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether I'd get really precious about it if I had someone else going, "No, don't do that, do this." And I'd be like, "Well, why? I like this." So I don't know. I'd definitely give it a go.
I'm finding myself thinking about scenes from Tiger Heart and keeping laughing. Having never read either of your novels, where would you advise we start? I don't know who that question is from because I can't see their name, unfortunately. And thanks to Kaz, who has dropped links to all of the books that we're talking about today into the chat. So thank you.
Thank you.
Go and buy them. And Tiger Heart is in Kindle Unlimited as well.
Yeah.
So lots of options for where to find things, lots of different options for everybody. So Emma, let's start with you. They do need to be read in order, really.
They do need to be read in order. So so this is the first one, Intruders. I would absolutely recommend you read this one first before Evaders, because so much of what happens in this book doesn't. I mean, I guess you don't have to, because it does sort of hark back to it and it does sort of explain the story. But I think you get a lot more out of the second book if you read this one first. So I would definitely go that way. But I guess you could do it the other way.
You could, and it wouldn't spoil it.
No.
It'd still be just as enjoyable, but I'm glad I read them in order.
Yes.
So obviously, you get a bit of backstory and a bit,
I think you get more out of it, definitely, if you read them in order. And hopefully there's going to be a third one coming, and it'll bring everything together, hopefully.
Heide.
Obviously, we're in a crime group, so we'll talk about crime because we have written in some of the genres.
You can tell us about everything else as well, that's fine.
Well, okay, because we've only recently started writing. I say recently.
A couple of years,
yeah. But the first in the Sam Applewhite series is Sealfinger. However, we do try and write the books that you can dip in. You don't have to read them in order. But obviously, where a character has, where something's happened in the past, you might want to read them in order. But if you just dip in and read Tiger Heart, you will not be cast adrift. There's no harm there. So yes, we've written fantasy, we've written horror, we've written a little bit of science fiction. Have I missed anything, Iain?
No, I think you've covered all manner of random nonsense that we've done. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were very much working on the Skegness Sam books at the moment. So book 6 comes out in October, and hopefully we're starting some other mystery books in a different series that will come out next year, which is nice. So no, but no, we do enjoy crime. I think one of the things that crime does for us, though, that is interesting is that, for instance, with the heist novel, well, with Tiger Heart set in a bank, we felt we had to do some proper real world research into how things function. Um, and I must admit, we wrote to all the main high street banks and said, "Hey, can you tell us how your safe works and how you get in it?" And none of them replied. I was really disappointed that So although we changed the name of it, we picked a real bank to rob. But again, they wouldn't let us go and have a poke around in the back office or anything. So it was interesting having to do that kind of research.
I also asked a friend of mine works for HSBC, and I said, "Could we talk to you about this?" And she went, "I would have to sign all these things, and they're really, really, they're very protective about this stuff. It's basically not tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if a former bank worker would be able to help, or if they're still under the same kind of thing after leaving.
And actually, that's what happened. I went on Reddit and I found a thread, and I kind of went, "Look, here's what I want to do. We want to write these books. Can you tell us what?" And suddenly, quite a large number of former bank workers went, "Right, this is what happens," and they kind of spilled the beans, which was really useful. Actually, very helpful. We're telling all the really interesting things that bank employees do in robberies, like to try and slow the process down, play along with the robber, but don't give away much money. But also the stuff the banks don't do, apparently, like they tend not to install brilliant CCTV, or they tend to cut corners a bit. So it was nice to speak to people who we don't know that they're experts. This is random people off the internet, but who were able to offer their opinion. But yeah, wouldn't be able to get any formal advice from the banks themselves.
See, I'm intrigued. I'm thinking like film sets.
You can get anything on Reddit. I wholly recommend it for research.
Surprising. In fact, with the Reddit research, one of the things we did ask, because of the bank robbery, was kind of like, if you walked into a bank, with a shotgun, but you didn't shoot anybody and you didn't steal any of the actual money, could you get away with it, legally speaking? And suddenly you read it there's a lawyer there going, well, if you thought you were legally entitled to the money, and it just suddenly kind of, there's people willing to share their opinions. So, it's a great resource, isn't it, Emma? I got to say.
I love it. And YouTube as well. A lot of my research has taken place on YouTube, and I love the fact that you can type in anything, how to rob a bank, how to break into a safe. I mean, I watched a lot of videos about how people break into safes, and because I knew nothing about it, and I thought I need to get clued up about this. And it's incredible how much information is out there. I love it. I've watched so many safe cracking videos. It was great. So YouTube, wholly recommend for research.
Well, that's my evening sorted. I'm going to go and watch people crack safes.
But there is videos for everything on YouTube. It's a fantastic resource. I mean, yeah, as a writer, it's great.
Including the crazy cabbage harvesting machinery that you can buy. Honestly, sometimes you think, I wonder if there is a machine, and yeah, YouTube will walk you around this multi-million pounds, it must be incredibly expensive piece of machinery that farmers use to harvest cabbages and chop their little heads off. And yes, it's terrific.
I think you can always tell a writer by their Google search history.
Absolutely.
Because, writers do ask the internet the most mental questions, I think. And if I'd looked at my own internet history, you might think I would be a serial killer or something like that.
But also you have the element there, and I think this with obviously we write comedy, which is daft, but it works with crime as well. If you think of something and you kind of go, has anyone ever done that? And then you look it up on the internet, 9 times out of 10, somebody has done it. So whatever thing you think, that's too crazy, that would never happen. and then you find out that not only has it happened, but it's happened more than once. So that, you know, any crazy attempt, any technological mark, someone has worked out a way of doing things. It's almost like, you know,
and
fiction.
they've made a video and posted a video as well.
100%, 100%. I think for that book, it was kind of like, you know, we have a scene where the bank robbers all holed up inside the bank, and I think it was a kind of a thing of, you know, can you make a booby trap by putting a bottle of champagne in a microwave or so? I can't remember what it was, but you know, you kind of go, yeah, no, that's, you know, 100%, you know, someone's already tried microwaving various things to see what explodes.
Yeah.
And
great.
what else is with it? Flour, champagne, a microwave. There's a fourth ingredient, and I can't think what it is.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Because obviously, you know, and suddenly, I think I probably did spend a whole evening watching accidental explosions that feature flour. It's amazing. It's just astonishing stuff, you know, because you know, gets in the air and kaboom. Yeah.
Makes quite a mess.
Yeah, the whole kind of MacGyver thing, making something out of nothing, and you know, is I think that's one thing that appeals to Heide very much, is taking disparate things and working out what chaos you can cause with them.
Are you talking about in the fiction or in real life now? Yes.
To be honest, both. To be about both. I mean, there was that time. What did you do with the wedding cake, Heidi? I'm trying to remember now.
Oh.
I feel like this isn't a good time to have a sip of water. I'm just going to wait.
No, we wanted to make a book trailer for a book that had a wedding or a would-be bride in it, and it's like, how can we set fire to it? How can we make it explode? How can we destroy a wedding cake? Obviously we don't want to buy a whole wedding cake because that, you know, it's expensive business. So we made a kind of slapdash wedding cake out of
Madeira cake,
cheap Madeira cakes, sort of slathered together with. Now, I think we made.
I think it was lard.
Wasn't
it mostly? So instead of icing, was it not just lard?
It was lard with some ice and sugar in it, yeah, which is you know, it seemed to work. And then we tried to mix in firelighting fluid to see if we could, you know, make it go up. It was disappointing, if I'm honest. If you're going to have a party, don't bother using a wedding cake because they won't burn.
Okay, definitely a good idea not to drink water. I'm just going to close my lid on that there. Oh my word. That you just must have so much fun, all of you, in research, though, because whether it's YouTube or Reddit or trying to blow up a wedding cake, I mean, you just all sound like you have so much fun with it. I'm clearly doing something wrong. I'm not having as much fun as you think.
You're not searching enough weird stuff on the internet.
I'm a bit of a wuss. I'm always worried about what images might come up. So I'm the kind of person who watches Stranger Things like this. You know, I'm 40 years old, but I'm still watching the Demogorgon through my fingers. You know, so I'm good at reading it, but not watching it. So yeah, but I feel like I need a day out with all three of you just to. I think it'd be the funniest thing to see what you all get up to.
Let's do
That'll
it.
be my research. I'll just follow the three of you around with permission. What's like the best thing you found in your research?
The best thing. I like researching places. So either if I've been to a place or I've never been to a place, I love the fact that most places come with Street View. And it's amazing what you can find on Street View. And I love just kind of, you know, having a little virtual walk around a place on Street View. I don't know whether Heidi and Iain, you do that, but with my books, obviously quite a lot of international settings, and I might have been to a place, or it might be that. So recently, I've been researching Street View for a place in Poland, and I've never been to Poland. And so I thought, I'll have a look, because I had an image of what it was going to be like in my mind. And then I went on Street View and had a little wander around, and it was completely different. So yeah, I'm very thankful for Street View. I think it's great. And I love sort of having little potters around the world. It's really nice. I don't know how, you know, writers of old used to deal without Street View. It's fantastic. Same as Google. Like, how did writers ever cope without these things? We're so lucky. That there's so much stuff out there. It's just an incredible resource. So you don't have to leave your armchair, and you can go have a walk around Sydney or something like that. So, and just finding places as well. I like to choose kind of real life locations, like a real bar or a real
Mm.
restaurant or
Yeah.
something like that. So to just kind of wander around and see what it might look like, and then Google it and see the pictures and see the images. I love doing stuff like that.
Absolutely. And yet there's also the inverse, and Heidi's better at this than me, is just going and asking people for stuff. We not for Tiger Heart, but for the books in the series. We, for instance, the last one we wrote, we wanted to do stuff involving a tank, and so we just got in touch with a local tank museum, Armageddon in Leicester. And it's amazing if you go to people and kind of go, we're writing a book. It's not a sensible book. We're writing a book, and they'll go, come in. Let me tell you all the things. And I think we had a fantastic afternoon at the tank centre. And not that we ever got to ride any tanks, did we, Heidi? But
No, that's true.
That's disappointing.
People are amazingly willing to share their expertise. I completely adore anybody who's geeky and passionate about any subject, and once you get them talking about it, I managed. We were dealing another time with the sewers of Sutton Coldfield, and we wanted to know, has Sutton Coldfield, which is near Birmingham, if you don't know it, has it got any sewers that a person could walk through? And so I managed to get hold of the Severn Trent engineer who knows this stuff. And he was like, yeah, no, I think you'd have to look at a storm drain, because most of the sewers in Sutton Coldfield are 4-inch bore, and you wouldn't, and it's like, this is the best thing ever. He's come on the phone and he's answering my questions, and he's not like calling the police or anything. It's just so amazing.
we were doing research for a book recently, and we were setting the book in Framlingham in Suffolk. And the library appears in the book, and so I went into the library one day. I was down there, my wife's family from down there, and I said, "Can I just take some photos inside?" And then they asked me why, and I told them why, and then suddenly you get the tour of the place. It used to be a courthouse and all this stuff and the other, and then I felt very embarrassed there to point out that the murder victim was the head librarian, and they weren't a very nice person. And I believe the librarian's response, about the head librarian getting killed. She says, I think she said, Brian will be very upset. But nonetheless, that people want to reach out and share stuff. It's great. I love that. Love it.
I remember when I first discovered, and I think I was quite young. Obviously, this was a long time before the internet. That you could go into a library and ask a librarian any question, and they would try and answer it for you. And I think young Heidi was like the power. It feels like a superpower. It's like, what, anything, and they'll start. Let's look in this book. Let's go over here, and it's just incredible. It's like you were saying, Emma, about what did we do before Google? It's like, go and ask the librarians, because they are amazing people.
Amazing.
I've been invited to follow Donna Morfitt round for the day as well, so I can imagine the trouble we would get into. Donna made a joke that if we tried to co-write together, we'd never get anything done, which is absolutely true. Not happening. Somebody said the husband wants to know if your villains try to steal the statue of the Happy Fisherman.
Oh, in Skegness.
The Jolly Fisherman in Skegness. Yeah. No, we've. As a person local to Skegness, and having grown up with the Jolly Fisherman, and the whole slogan for Skegness, which is Skegness, it's bracing, which basically means it's cold. And I've assumed that's normal, and we happened to take a Ukrainian visitor around Skegness the other week, and to try and explain, that the mascot is an old man in wellies, and the main advertising slogan for the region for nearly 100 years now is "It's a bit cold." Never crossed my mind that this was problematic. When the same Ukrainian guest and also asked, and you go swimming in the sea and you go, "Oh no, it's too cold to go swimming in the sea here." We just stand at the side of it and sort of look at it. So no, we haven't stolen the Jolly Fisherman. No, should do. Book 7, clearly book 7.
There you go.
I'm going to say there's an idea for you. I don't know why I've never visited Skegness, because it sounds just like the best place.
Maybe oversold it now. Maybe oversold it a bit. Who knows?
It's the Miami of the East Coast. Come on.
You are ever stuck Fridays. Have any of you ever played Florida Man?
It's a good one. Now, is that the one where you type in Florida Man and your birthday and find out what a stupid
don't put
person
your
from Florida
birthday in.
did?
Pick a random date. Let's not be part of a phishing
I'm not
scam.
doing this.
Pick a random date. So basically, you type in Florida Man and a date, and you see what news story comes up.
Right.
Often involves crocodiles.
Now you see,
But it's all
there's a
like some.
Oh, I'm gonna
it's
try
well worth explaining why this is, and I think part of this is because actually Florida. I'm defending Florida now. Florida has some of the most transparent court reporting laws in America, as in if it happens in
okay.
court, you can publish it. So it's not so that Florida people are all mad. They might be, but it's actually that you can tell. So my birthday, by the way, is Florida man attacks his mum with spaghetti because demons were in his head. You know, that's just a standard Florida man story there. You know, it's
kind of funny but really sad.
oh no, it's terrible. It's a terrible story. That I mean, that's really quite awful.
Did you say attacks his mum with spaghetti?
Well, also, actually, Florida man arrested for allegedly throwing corn cob at mum. Clearly, you know, my birthday is the day to throw food at your mother. It's terrible.
I'm gonna give
but often it's things like man takes drunk crocodile into cinema or something. It's, you know, it's that kind of level of thing. Man tries to use taco as ID, or, you know, it's all that level of, you know.
I'm going to play this. As soon as we're finished here, that's the first thing I'm going to do. Is type in the date.
I think it might have been Kaz that told me about it. I'm sure it was. Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm allowed to say mine. Can we say, well, yeah. Florida man
say whatever you want.
Florida man takes epic mugshot after driving naked near school with wires attached to penis. It's not okay. It's not okay.
I revoke my permission. No, you can't. Wow. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's gosh.
Okay. Somebody said mine is Florida man caught smoking meth told cops it's legal now.
Okay, last one for me. Florida man confesses to cops saying Jesus told me to drive Ferrari off pier. You know.
See, now this it gets problematic because then all you want to do, you kind of end up starting at January and working your way through.
I know. And it's that kind of free, you know, free-spirited vibe, you know. And I could, you know, obviously Emma was talking there about Uruguay and Panama, you know, and research, because I think the one thing we want to do with our next books is we want to go and take our crime books to Florida, as in go and write something set in Florida. So we are going to, when we get round to it, I think we are going to do a research trip to Florida for a few weeks. That'd be nice. So I don't know, you know, if Emma, you've got any planned kind of like jaunts abroad to go and explore crime venues or something.
You don't have to persuade me to travel ever. I will go anywhere with anyone. So if you're going to Florida, I'm happy to come too. I've been to Miami. I've been to bits of Florida when I was younger. So
nice.
And it's Florida, isn't it? It's nice, and people do crazy things. So if you've ever got writer's block, I think, you know, just type in Florida man and there you go.
Yep, quite possibly so.
Yeah.
The last one I'm going to read out, Donna's, is steals alligator from golf course, tries teaching it a lesson.
Fantastic.
God, you all have to stop trying to kill me with laughter.
That's a great game. I've never heard of that.
What are you all working on? So Emma, you're working on book 3.
Yes, I took a break earlier because I started book 3 quite a long time ago, and then I had this other idea in my head that I wanted to kind of get out. So I spent earlier this year writing a different novel, completely different. So I'm trying to sort of see what I can do with that one, and then going back to book 3. I've got kids at home for school holidays at the moment, so my writing time is very small right now. But hopefully in September, when they're back at school, I'm going to crack on with book 3. Hopefully, I've given myself till the end of the year to finish it, because obviously we've just moved back to the UK. I've got loads of unpacking to do and all of that. So yeah, I'm just giving myself to the end of the year. Try not to pressure myself too much to finish it off. I'm not as a prolific a writers as Heide and Iain. I can't write that fast.
How long does it take you to write each one?
Oh, how long? We're writing some cozy crime novels at the moment, which are a little bit shorter by tradition, and so we're turning those around in just a few weeks, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yeah, probably about 5 weeks per book on those. You know, that's you know, and I think you have the advantage of there being two of us. That really does, you know, help things along. So you know, you have that opportunity there to be to feed off each other. And I think again, building the momentum as a writer solo, particularly our children. I just don't recommend children to writers at all. You know, it's they're an absolute barrier. Heide and I are quite lucky that we've mostly got rid of our own. Got rid of as in they've left, not that they're in the back garden or, you know, we've not buried them.
I think we saw one of yours walk in briefly before.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, somebody walked in, looked around, saw you and us, and backed out slowly.
Yeah.
There we go.
It was within a whisker of being that amazing video where she comes in and does all this.
So tell us what you're working on. Heide or Iain, or both?
So we're writing a series of cozy mysteries set in Framlingham, as Iain mentioned earlier. They are themed around craft, around some ladies who operate a sewing shop. Because I love sewing, and I particularly wanted, and I've brought Iain with me on this crazy journey. I particularly wanted to do something where a garment would feature in the book, and I would make the garment in real life, so I could like make a video of it and you know, walk about in it, and generally have some other material to add value to the reading experience, and also, you know, amuse me. And it's been brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's been good, those. I mean, obviously, what I really want to do, because Framlingham, I don't know if you know Framlingham, it's got a castle, and its most famous resident, Framlingham, is Ed Sheeran. And I've been trying to get hold of Ed to ask if we can murder him in book 5. He's not said yes yet. I feel it's just.
But he's not said no either.
He's not said no yet. Yeah, I feel he's not got round to reading the email, and he's going to go, darn it, yes, I want to get clobbered over the head with a spanner in book 5 and tossed off the wall of a castle or something. I feel he's the kind of person who'd be up for a laugh. You know, he'd enjoy it. But yes, no, we're very much enjoying writing those at the moment. And again, I'm sure Emma finds herself in a similar situation. It was this morning because I'm actually visiting Lincolnshire. This is my parents' house. And my dad's saying, you know, what are you doing? I go, right, I've got to murder Derek in the garage, and Frank's got to get away with it by convincing everybody else that he's still in bed. You know, you find yourself spending time doing that. You know, who knows? Who knows how we'll get away with it? I've no idea.
Maybe you could kill off Ned Sheeran.
Well, true, could kill off just some generic ginger-haired pop star, you know, although I believe Ed Sheeran, despite being a marvellous young person, is also famously litigious. So, you know, probably, you know,
don't want to end up with a case.
No. Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe pick some lower hanging fruit that just want a bit of publicity.
No, come on, we're gonna do this, you know, it's gonna happen.
Gotta be A-list or nothing.
Book 5, yeah. Absolutely. He can play his own corpse in the TV adaptation. That's what's gonna happen.
Yes.
I want to know from all of you what your memorable moments have been so far as authors. Not an easy one, obviously. Who wants to go first?
Iain and Heide, you go first. I'll have a think.
I'm going to cheat because a memorable moment is one that's not yet happened. In that, in about 3 weeks' time, we're guests of honor at a convention in Lithuania. And I think one of the things that authors, you know, one of the things they'd love to do, you say, oh, you get invited to an event, you're the guest of honor, tick. And it's one of those things that I think is both wonderful and we're very, very honoured by it. And we're also kind of going, Lithuania, Neither is a Lithuanian. We don't speak Lithuanian. We've never been to Lithuania, and yet somehow, in 3 weeks' time, there's us on a jet plane off to do a kind of convention panel thing, sort of like this in Lithuania. And I'm kind of going, this is both crazy and I'm absolutely looking forward to it beyond all things. I think that's an absolute highlight for me.
It is going to be.
We've
brilliant.
never had anybody say this, to my recollection, this thing that hasn't happened yet. So everything about you two goes off on a tangent somewhere.
I'm so sorry. Sorry, my apologies.
No, it's brilliant. I can see how the books come together. I can literally see it in front of me. Emma?
I think for me, it's just seeing yourself in print, really. Seeing, actually holding a book and having your name on the front of it and seeing a cover. I think when I first got sent the cover, I was standing on a metro train in Rome, in Italy, where I used to live. And it was just the most exciting thing ever. I wanted to tell everyone on the train. And, obviously I didn't speak much Italian, so that would have been a disaster. But yeah, just little things like that. This has been amazing, really. Yeah, nothing beats it for me, definitely.
Heidi, how about you?
I'll wheel out one of the. I really love the stupid things that we do. So this is Heidi pretending that it's all about marketing and PR, whereas really I'm just about doing stupid things. But we once, when we had a book about monsters in Birmingham, we decided that we would fake a monster spotting in Birmingham. So I persuaded Iain to meet me at dawn in the centre.
So early.
It was very early. On the basis that nobody else would see what we were doing. And I had made a big giant tentacle out of the insulation stuff that you put over pipes. It was a thing of beauty. It was really lovely. And I'd done it so you could put a stick in it, so you could waggle it around. And I'd also, at the other end, I'd put a kind of wire loop in it so that we could dangle it off bridges into the canal. And some of the best shots actually were of it emerging under a bridge. It's like you're doing emu. Anyway, yeah. Nobody believed our monster. Nobody, but we had such fun doing it. It was brilliant.
I just feel like I'm doing life wrong.
That's
I really
not the best
do.
answer. I mean, how can anyone top that?
Oh my god. You've kind of touched on this a little bit already, but have any of you ever acted out a scene? So Emma, you've run around the compound where you lived, looking at things.
Yeah.
But any actual physical acting out of the scenes?
I think, yeah. I mean, for me, like, nothing very exciting, no tentacles or anything like that. But just trying to incorporate, if I do something cool or I go on a boat or something, or I go somewhere amazing, I'll always try and include it somehow and just like wedge it in there. Like, okay, how can I get the story to go in this direction so they can go to this place? I've done quite a lot of that, so I'm not really. It doesn't matter if it doesn't quite work. I'll wedge it in somehow. So yeah. There's been a few things that haven't worked at all, and I'm like, no, I really can't do this. It's going to have to wait for another book. But yeah, if it's cool and I like it, it's going to go in there somehow.
That's a good attitude. I like it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Iain and I were lucky enough a few weeks ago. A friend of ours was making a short film up in Derbyshire and asked for helpers. And it's like we're all over that, yes. So we spent a weekend in Derbyshire with a tiny film crew making it was a horror film, a short horror film. But then there was a point where there was a slight break in filming, and we were in the woods with people dressed as hunters, because that was part of the theme. And I said, Iain, you know that book that we've got where people are hunting, humans for fun? Why don't we see if we can make a little trailer? Because we're here in the woods with people dressed as hunters. And so we borrowed one of the actors and we spent about 20 minutes with iPhones, obviously, because we're amateurs, filming us running around and the hunter coming after us to make a little book trailer. And honestly, it's going to be epic. Iain, you're
If you want to watch two middle-aged people stumbling around a wood being chased by a hunter, I mean, this is your dream come true,
We absolutely do. Yeah. Iain, any others off the top of your head?
I think I think it is that element that Heide is always keen to make props from the books, usually costume based, which is always interesting. Acting it out, that's always I think because we'll do anything for a photo opportunity, and I think there have been a couple where it was last Christmas where I struggle to remember why now, but we baked delicious cakes on a live stream whilst chatting with readers, and then staged our own murders in Heidi's conservatory. Now, I'm not saying that's ever going to make it into a book, but I was thinking if this went wrong, and one of us, Heidi did actually stab me, she's going to have a hell of a time explaining that to the police. She was going, oh yeah, no, we were doing a Christmas biscuits and murder scene. Lovely photos. I mean, got no use for them at all, but yeah.
Oh, this interview has not disappointed at all. Honestly, how I've managed to contain the laughter is people who know me well will be impressed, because once I go. I'm like a blooper reel. So, oh my word. We are almost out of time. Everyone give us a recap of and I'll get Tiger Heart back up on my phone for you. So Emma, show us the books again and tell us where we can buy them.
Oh yeah, I'm so annoyed. I've only got one. So
I've got the other one on my phone.
Oh, you've got the other one on your phone. Do flash it up. This is book one. This is Intruders, set in South America. It's about a character named Tom Holt, who is also a security consultant, a bit like your Sam Applewhite character. He's basically given a job by a very mysterious character to go and retrieve the contents of a domestically held safe in Uruguay. Please do go and read it. There's a lot going on in it. It's a very plot-heavy novel, if you like plot-heavy novels. And that Sam is holding the sequel, which is called Evaders, which is also set in South America, and the action moves to Panama City in Central America. And I hope you enjoy reading them. And there's another one coming soon, hopefully.
There will. At some point, I am going to admire you a bit more. I want to read the third one. Okay, Heide and Iain, Tiger Heart. I'm trying not to get the ring light in the thing, but you can't really see. Try not to reflect my messy desk in the phone.
Right.
So Tiger Heart is book 4, 5? 4.
It's book 4. It's book 4 in the series. Sam Applewhite, a series of 6 novels set in Skegness. Crime novels, not very serious ones, although they seem to be full of grim crime and quite a bit of violence, to be honest. Yes, read Sealfinger, the first one, which is available to buy principally from Amazon. Google it and you'll find it. Sealfinger, all one word.
Thank you all so much. Thank you to everyone who's joined in, asked questions and shared their Florida Man things. One final one from Tony Millington. Tony's Googled today's date, and Florida Man claiming to be Alice in Wonderland says that hookah smoking caterpillar told him to destroy a liquor store with a forklift. That sounds like a scene right out of
that's a
Tiger
great
Heart. It
one.
Really does. Thanks, Tony, for that. Thank you all so much. I've had the best hour.
Thank you.
Everyone needs to go and read all of the books. I can't wait to read more of Sam Applewhite. And I patiently wait for Tom Holt.
Yes, patiently. It'll get there. He's going.
Thank you very much for having us. It's been
Thank you.
wonderful.
It's been loads of fun. Really enjoyed that. Thank you.